Can you hear that? That heavy guttural roar that's not your weekend biker gang? That's a Russian assault unit, tearing across an open field on off-road bikes like they're extras in a Mad Max movie. But Ukraine's seen this trick before. They've got eyes in the sky, recon drones on standby 24/7. Before we dive into all of this, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers across the world is a huge source of inspiration for us. The moment those engines roared, Ukrainian troops launched a drone into the air. Less than a minute later, the target was locked. Then came the explosions. Motorcycles lit up like 4th of July fireworks, except this was a tragic, low-budget remake. On this battlefield, speed doesn't save you. The Russians thought they could sneak deep into Ukrainian lines fast and quiet. What they didn't realize was they'd driven straight into a kill zone. No cover, no concealment. Everything exposed under the drone's all-seeing gaze. And these Ukrainian FPV drones, they're not just flying cameras, they're motorized Grim Reapers. When a Russian recon drone was spotted guiding the assault, Ukraine didn't hesitate. They launched a flying killer to hunt it down and take it out. With their drone downed, the entire Russian formation was left blind. No intel, no direction. Panic set in. Soldiers ditched their bikes and bolted for the tree line, praying to escape the blade from above. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me. But they didn't know the drone was still watching, and no one escapes its gaze. When the Russian reconnaissance drone was shot down, the tide of battle turned instantly. The assault force, once charging ahead with confidence, now resembled blindfolded men stumbling into a minefield. No direction, no data, no support. Any hope of regrouping or pressing forward shattered on the spot. In that moment, panic spread faster than any command from above. Some soldiers abandoned their bikes in the middle of the field and bolted toward the tree line, desperately hoping to escape the cold, steel eyes in the sky. But what they didn't know was this was exactly what Ukraine had planned for. The FPV drones were still circling above, not just observing, but hunting. They didn't need to be fast. They only needed to wait for the right moment. Like when a Russian soldier peeked out from the bushes or tried to drag a wounded comrade to safety, click the drone operator on the ground, pressed a button. A split-second dive, a clean explosion. And with it, the last flicker of hope for that group was gone. Ukrainian drones aren't spray-and-pray weapons, they're selective assassins, striking the right target at the right time. From a distance, a Ukrainian infantry unit was watching it all unfold. They didn't rush in. They observed. They analyzed. And they saw everything. A Russian soldier collapsing beside a flaming motorcycle, clutching his head like he couldn't believe he'd walked into hell. No one came to save him. No retreat order came. Only silence and death circling overhead. By now, it was clear. This wasn't a raid. It was a trap. And the Russians were nothing more than sacrificial pawns. As the area momentarily fell silent, Ukrainian recon drones swept the battlefield one last time. No more moving bikes, no more major heat signatures. The order came down. Infantry, advance through the tree line. Sweep the area. No shouting, no rushing. Just quiet shadows moving steadily into danger. Then gunfire. A short, sharp skirmish. The Russians fired first, but their ammo was low. Their spirit was lower. Ukraine countered swiftly, with full tactical awareness from drone intel. Within minutes, it was over. Only 2 Russians survived, likely the ones who had escaped the initial airstrike. But now, out of bullets and surrounded, they raised their hands and surrendered. Ukrainian troops moved in fast, secured them, and began field interrogation on the spot. Every scrap of intel from command post locations to fallback routes was worth its weight in gold. As the smoke cleared, the Ukrainian team discovered several intact motorcycles. Engines still running, still fully operational. These spoils of war were quickly inspected, stripped of excess gear, and repurposed. In Ukrainian hands, the enemy's machines would now serve a new mission. One soldier stepped forward without hesitation, mounted the bike, his grip on the handlebars tight like he'd ridden it 100 times. No words were needed. His eyes said it all. These bikes will ride again, but next time they'll be headed toward the Russian lines. Russia's so-called lightning raid, it turned into a catastrophic rehearsal in failure. No drones, no artillery support, no exit strategy. And most crucially, they failed to grasp one truth of modern warfare. In today's battles, the fastest don't survive. The ones who own the sky do, even though the motorcycle assault had been completely crushed. For Ukraine, the battle was far from over. A greater threat still lurked beyond the visible horizon, where Russian artillery and multiple launch rocket systems, MLRS, waited, ready to unleash fiery retaliation. And Ukraine knew one hard truth: if the route wasn't destroyed, more motorcycle squads, more armored vehicles would keep flooding the battlefield. A reconnaissance drone was immediately deployed, tracing mobile signals and the rumble of artillery fire. It didn't take long. Thermal imaging picked up a suspicious site deep inside a small village near the front line. Satellite imagery confirmed it. A Russian ammunition depot and a mobile artillery staging area. Coordinates were instantly relayed to a Ukrainian artillery battery. Moments later, long-barreled M777 howitzers were loaded, adjusted, and fired. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me. The strike was terrifyingly precise. A massive explosion tore through the village corner. Even from a distance, it was clear the shell had hit the ammo depot directly. A fireball erupted like a mushroom cloud, followed by dozens of secondary detonations. The ground trembled. Shrapnel rained from the sky, but there was no time to celebrate. Just minutes later, radar picked up a threat. A Russian kamikaze drone, heading straight for the Ukrainian command vehicle. The Humvee carrying the artillery team immediately began to withdraw, but the drone was right on its tail. Thankfully, the vehicle's electronic warfare system had already been activated. The enemy drone veered off course, jammed mid-flight, then slammed into the Humvee's rear. But it didn't explode. A tense second passed, then white smoke trailed out. The enemy drone had gone dead. The team dismounted, did a quick check, and got back in to move out. This time, they escaped by a hair's breadth. But Ukraine wasn't done. With the artillery team safely withdrawn, the counterattack was passed to the drone strike unit. Waves of FPV drones were launched, flying low through the treetops and straight toward the freshly shelled village. Recon data had already marked every target from artillery placements and resupply trucks to enemy soldiers hiding in outdoor latrines. No hiding spot was safe anymore. Drones dove straight into each target. Russian troops were blown apart, even inside dugouts. Artillery vehicles struck before they could retreat. A 9K-51 Grad launcher barely arrived at the firing point before it was destroyed without firing a single rocket. One drone captured the moment a Russian crew member tried to jump clear, only to be consumed in an instant as a blast vaporized both man and machine. On this battlefield, everything plays out in plain sight. The sky is no longer empty space, it's a second ground. A battleground where drones rule, where those who can't see from above are the first to vanish from the map. Russia still has vehicles, still has guns, but it has no place left to hide. Because in today's Ukraine, the sky belongs to those who know how to command it. After every failed assault, a pressing question grows louder. How can Russia, spanning over 11% of Earth's landmass, fielding the second largest military on the planet, allow its vehicles, motorcycle units, and artillery systems to be wiped out so easily? The answer isn't in the numbers. It's in the sky. While Ukraine has turned drones into a core weapon from reconnaissance and strike missions to electronic warfare, Russia remains trapped in a Soviet-era mindset. Armored convoys moving in columns, artillery firing in grids, assaults following outdated doctrines. They have tanks, rocket artillery, battle-hardened troops, but they lack the single most vital asset in modern warfare: control of the third dimension. As Ukrainian drones hang silently in the sky like death kites, every movement on the ground becomes a target. There's nowhere to hide, no time to rest. A tank can be taken out by a single FPV drone with a water pipe warhead. A $1 million Grad launcher can be reduced to ashes by a single high-speed dive from above. In a battlefield like this, numbers become a liability. Movement equals detection, and detection means destruction. Meanwhile, Ukraine isn't just operating UAVs, they're producing them at industrial speed. Small workshops, military tech startups, civilian engineers, even university students, everyone is part of the drone revolution. They don't need anything flashy, just cheap enough, accurate enough, and deadly enough. From palm-sized quadcopters to long-range strike drones that reach deep into the rear, each one sends the same message. Ukraine is no longer the victim. They're the ones choosing when and where to strike back. Russia knows this, and they're desperately trying to catch up. They're buying drones from Iran, China, even North Korea. Not just drones, artillery shells, air defense systems, even mercenaries from sanctioned nations. But all they get in return are charred vehicles scattered across Ukrainian fields, caught on drone footage, broadcast to the world. Modern war is no longer a race to see who has more tanks. It's about who sees first and strikes first. And in that domain, Ukraine is already a generation ahead. War, from a strategic viewpoint, is about maps, numbers, battle plans, and counteroffensives. But down on the ground, amid the whir of propellers, the thunder of explosions, and the acrid smell of gunpowder, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a story of people, of split-second choices between life and death, of fear, clarity, and quiet courage, never loud, never showy. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me. Among the countless drones hovering over eastern Ukraine, there is one guided by Serhiy. He doesn't wear a high-ranking insignia. He's not a special forces operative. He didn't enter this war with a weapon in hand. He brought only one thing: a controller, tethered to a small screen where life and death are decided with the tilt of a thumb. This is his story, and the story of those who fight in silence from above. We're not soldiers with guns. We carry controllers. That's how Serhiy, 26 years old, describes his job as a drone operator in one of Ukraine's frontline units near Donetsk. At first, I thought flying drones would feel like playing a video game, he says, gripping a camouflaged controller, eyes locked on a small screen streaming a live aerial view. But the first time I flew an FPV straight into an enemy vehicle, and it exploded. That's when I knew this was a real life-or-death game. Serhiy was once an IT student in Kharkiv. When the war began, he didn't enlist right away. But after his hometown was shelled, he joined the army, bringing with him an old DJI drone he once used to film weddings. I understood tech. I knew drones. And I hated sitting there, watching everything get destroyed, unable to do anything. Now, Serhiy does more than fly, he trains new operators. The most important thing is to stay calm, he explains. On screen, sometimes you see enemy soldiers waving. Some run. Some shoot up at the drone. But you can't flinch. One wrong move of the hand, and your whole team could die. One of his most unforgettable missions was an ambush on a Russian motorcycle convoy near Bakhmut. I remember that day clearly. It was blazing hot. The camera picked up 4 motorcycles tearing across a field. I tracked them, adjusted my angle, waited for the perfect moment, and then dropped. When I saw the vehicle flip and smoke rise, I knew I'd hit. But I also saw clearly they were human, soldiers, not robots. That feeling, it's strange. Serhiy doesn't see himself as a hero. He says his job is simply to cut the enemy's eyes from the sky. But it's those very eyes that witness the moments no one forgets: fallen comrades, drones shot out of the air, vehicles burning in the dead of night. When you're flying a drone, you know who lives and who doesn't, he says, still watching the screen. And it's my job to make sure if someone has to fall, it won't be one of ours. Are drones killing the spirit of traditional warriors? When war is no longer face-to-face, are we becoming cold, detached operators or silent heroes of a new era? Comment below, what do you think? Are drones changing the nature of war forever? Or will counter-drone technology eventually reset the battlefield? And if you're passionate about tactical analysis, military history, and untold stories from the front lines, subscribe now to Military Knowledge. Don't miss the latest developments from the battlefield, where technology and humanity collide between life and death.